A year passed. Then, one day, I came home to find all my things thrown outside. And standing at the door was Ethan with a new woman and his family.
You're no longer my wife. I have a new one. Get lost.
Ethan, you can't do this. This is my home.
Not anymore. And take your disgusting son with you.
Did you really think we'd let you stay forever? You and that autistic brat? You've embarrassed our family enough.
Where am I supposed to go?
We don't care. Just leave.
I had no choice but to leave. I used to believe in fairy tales. The kind where the girl meets the perfect man, falls in love, and builds a beautiful life with him. For a while, I thought I was living one. I met Ethan when I was 23. He was charming, kind, and made me laugh until my stomach hurt. I had dated before, but with Ethan, everything was different. He made me feel safe and loved. He had a stable job too and lived fine. We spent every moment we could together, and within a year, he proposed.
Claire, I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?
Of course, I said yes. When he introduced me to his family, they welcomed me with open arms. His parents adored me, always telling Ethan how lucky he was to have found someone like me. His mother, Evelyn, treated me as if I was her own daughter.
Claire, I just know you'll make a wonderful wife and mother. You're perfect for my son.
His father, Henry, would pat my head and call me our sweet girl, making me feel like I truly belonged. His younger sister, Anna, became my best friend. We would go shopping together, have sleepovers, go for spa visits together. People often mistook us as twins. I had everything I ever wanted. The wedding was magical. A grand ceremony filled with tears, laughter, and promises of forever. When I walked down the aisle, Ethan's eyes shone with so much love that I thought I might melt right there. The moment we said I do, I believed nothing could ever go wrong. I was so naive. A year into our marriage, we started talking about having a baby. We wanted one so badly because everything was going well for us, so we tried for one. And when the pregnancy test finally showed those 2 pink lines, I nearly collapsed from joy.
Are you serious? Claire, we're going to be parents.
We cried together, holding each other so tightly it felt like we had become one. Telling his family was another wave of happiness.
Oh, sweetheart, this is the best news ever.
Our first grandchild. What a blessing.
Anna was practically screaming in excitement, already talking about baby clothes and names. For the next few months, I was surrounded by nothing but love. Ethan came with me to every doctor's appointment, held my hand through the morning sickness, kissed my belly every night before bed.
I can't wait to meet you, little one.
His family showered me with gifts, support, and endless affection. The day my son was born was the happiest day of my life. After hours of pain and exhaustion, the moment I heard his first cry, everything faded away.
Claire, he's beautiful. He has your pretty eyes.
We named him Oliver. Ethan's family was over the moon. The moment they got the news, they rushed to the hospital carrying bags filled with gifts.
Oh, let me hold my grandson.
Look at him. He's going to be a strong boy.
Anna cried when she first held him.
I'm an aunt now. I love you already, little Ollie.
They spoiled him from the very beginning. By the time we brought him home, my house was filled with toys, clothes, and more baby supplies than I knew what to do with. They visited every day. If they weren't showering Oliver with attention, they were taking care of me.
You need rest, sweetheart. Let me handle everything. Come to Grandma, sweet boy.
I'll go buy groceries. You don't have to worry about anything. Claire, you just focus on Ollie, okay? I'll take care of the rest.
I had never felt so loved. Life felt like a dream. But sadly, dreams don't last forever. When Oliver turned 1, things started to feel off. Most babies his age were already crawling. Some were even taking their first steps. But Oliver? He couldn't even sit up on his own. I tried not to panic. Every child grows at their own pace, right? Maybe he was just a little late. But as the weeks passed, the worry grew. He never babbled like the other babies. He never reacted to his name. Sometimes it felt like he was in his own little world. I brought it up to Ethan one night. Ethan, don't you think Oliver is a little behind? I mean, he's not crawling yet.
He's fine, Claire. Some kids take longer, that's all.
But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. One day, Evelyn was playing with Oliver, making silly faces and cooing at him.
Come to Grandma, sweet boy.
but Oliver didn't react. It was like she wasn't even there. She tried again, waving a toy in front of him, calling his name over and over. Still, nothing. I knew I had to get him checked. We took him to the doctor the next morning. They ran tests, observed him, asked questions, and then we finally got our answer. Oliver had autism. I was expecting worry or concern from Ethan instead, his face twisted in disgust.
Are you serious? Autism? What the hell is wrong with you, Claire?
Ethan, this isn't something to blame me for.
Of course it is. You've always been slow and stupid. I should have known it would turn into autism and pass into our kid.
I felt like someone had punched me. Ethan, that's not how autism works. It's not my fault.
Shut the hell up, Claire. I should never have married you.
Ethan stormed out before the doctor could even explain anything to him. I followed him.
Stay away from me.
Ethan, please. Listen to me. Oliver is still our son. He just needs our love and support.
Love and support? For what? Some imbecile?
Ethan, don't call our son that.
I don't want anything to do with this. This is your fault and your problem.
When his family found out, they switched on me instantly. Evelyn, the same woman who had once called Oliver her precious grandson, suddenly looked at him like he was filth.
You brought an imbecile into our family.
We thought you were a good wife, Claire. Turns out you're just cursed.
I can't believe I ever held that thing.
Please, don't say that about Oliver. He's just a baby.
A baby that will never be normal, thanks to you.
I couldn't believe it. Just a week ago, they were showering Oliver with love. Now they treated him like a disease. Things only got worse after that. Ethan hated me, and he despised Oliver. At the slightest thing, he'd hit me. A wrong word, a wrong look. Even when I tried to protect Oliver from him, he hit me. And Oliver? He wouldn't even touch him. He wouldn't hold him, feed him, acknowledge him. To him, Oliver didn't exist. A year passed. Then, one day, I came home to find all my things thrown outside. And standing at the door was Ethan with a new woman and his family.
You're no longer my wife. I have a new one. Get lost.
Ethan, you can't do this. This is my home.
Not anymore. And take your disgusting son with you.
Did you really think we'd let you stay forever? You and that autistic brat? You've embarrassed our family enough.
Where am I supposed to go?
We don't care. Just leave.
I had no choice but to leave. I went back to my parents' house, and when they saw me standing at their doorstep in tears, they knew something had happened.
Claire, what happened?
I told them everything. My dad was so angry.
That bastard.
The next morning, my parents went to Ethan's house. They wanted answers. But Ethan and his family laughed in their faces.
Oh, look, the autistic family is here.
Get lost. Your daughter got what she deserved.
Go take care of your idiot grandson and stop bothering us.
My parents were crushed. I told them not to bother, that I'd take care of my child alone. My parents were so helpful. They took care of me and Oliver. They took him to his therapy sessions when I was at work, ensuring he was okay. Luckily for me, at age 5, my son was looking normal. He could speak and walk properly. He was still autistic, but it was very mild. I was so grateful. I never told Ethan. Fortunately for me, I got a promotion at work and had to relocate abroad. Together with my parents and Oliver, I left the country. I worked even harder, making sure my son and I never lacked anything. Oliver's health improved so much that soon, even I couldn't remember that he's autistic. 15 years passed. 15 long years since Ethan had thrown Oliver and me away like garbage. And after, I was back in the country, standing beside my incredible son and my wonderful husband, Daniel, with our beautiful daughter, Sophie. We'd come back for business. Daniel wanted to build a branch of his company here, so we all came together. I thought it would be simple and concluded easily, but fate had other plans. Because one day, while shopping with Oliver, I ran into Ethan, the last person I ever wanted to see. And he looked horrible. His once proud posture was hunched. His face was tired and drained, and his clothes were worn out and cheap. It was clear that life had not been kind to him. I had heard that his new wife beat him and his family regularly, and that she had 4 children who were considered imbeciles. The funny part was that his wife was a lawyer, so Ethan was too scared to divorce her or do anything reckless. They were also too afraid to take her to court, even though she abused them. When he saw Oliver, I saw the shock in his eyes.
Oliver?
Oliver, my tall, handsome, confident son, just raised an eyebrow at him. Of course, he knew Ethan. I'd told him about the man.
You look normal.
What? You thought he'd be drooling in a wheelchair? I saw shame flash in his eyes, but I didn't care. Then, the bastard reached out to touch my son. I slapped his hand away. Don't you dare touch him.
Claire, you have no right to stop me.
I got angry and insulted him, humiliated him right there in the store. I loudly reminded him of how he abandoned his own child, of how he let his family spit on us. People started staring and whispering. His face turned red with embarrassment, and he quickly walked away. I thought that was the end of it, but a week later, I got a court summon. Apparently, Ethan, the man who once called Oliver a disgusting mistake, was now trying to claim custody of him. It was hilarious. I went to court on the appointed day with Oliver and Daniel. Ethan stood there, all self-righteous, talking about how he made a mistake and wanted to make things right. I didn't even need to argue. All I did was truthfully tell the court everything that happened. Luckily, the judge wasn't biased.
You abandoned your child at his most vulnerable time. You let him and his mother suffer. You have no legal or moral right over him. Case dismissed.
Ethan's face burned with shame as he stormed out of the courtroom. I followed him immediately. That went well, didn't it?
Go to hell, Claire.
Oh, I would, but I'm too busy thriving with my loving husband and our children. You know, Daniel is planning to adopt Oliver soon. Unlike you, he actually loves him. Now go back home and play with your husband-beater wife and the imbeciles you two brought into this world. Ethan looked so shocked that it was funny. Just then, Daniel walked out with Oliver.
Mom, let's go. Leave that miserable man. Dad and I need to leave.
I almost laughed at how stunned Ethan looked when he heard Oliver call another man Dad and call him a miserable man. I gave him one last disgusted glance, brushed past him with my shoulder, and walked away with my real family. A few months later, I heard rumors that Ethan had borrowed money from his parents when he took me to court and never paid them back. Since his wife was abusive, even to Ethan's parents, they decided to cut ties with him. The worst part was that one fateful morning, Ethan's new wife disappeared, leaving him alone with 4 children who constantly needed special care. She had grown tired of it all and walked away, leaving Ethan to fend for himself, raising 4 children while still having to work to survive. As for us, we're doing great. Oliver has become a star on TikTok. He usually posts vlogs and sometimes shares his paintings. People love his content and engage with his videos, and he's making a lot of money from social media. I heard that Ethan's family closely watches his videos and even tries to comment and engage, but Oliver always blocks them as soon as he notices their fake accounts. Thanks for watching.
About a week before Oliver's first birthday, I woke up in the middle of the night racked with shivers and a headache. I could barely breathe. I was so unwell. My chest hurt, my muscles ached, and my whole body was soaked in sweat. I wasn't sure if I was dying or not. I turned over and found Amy in a similar position. She was shivering under a thick duvet and moaning in her sleep. Amy, you need to wake up. She finally woke up, but her eyes were glassy and her face was flushed with fever.
Ethan, oh God, I feel horrible.
Me too. I think we might be coming down with something. Amy laughed, even though it wasn't a joke. I crawled out of bed and checked on Oliver in his bassinet, and he too looked as though he was sick. I checked his forehead, and he was burning up. When I turned around to go get a wet cloth for my son's forehead, I saw Liam watching us from the crack in the door. The moonlight cast his face in an eerie shadow, but I could see a smirk on his lip. Another cold shiver ran down my back, and I got the feeling that Liam was behind this. Liam, son, how are you feeling? Mommy, Daddy, and baby Ollie are pretty sick right now. Maybe it was something we ate? Maybe it was. But I feel fine. Liam went back to bed, smirking the whole time, and I thought I had best put my anxieties to rest. I decided the only way I could convince myself that my son wasn't poisoning us all. My wife and I discovered we couldn't have children after a few years of trying. We didn't go to the doctors to see who it was, but I feel that meant we both had to carry the guilt. We were rich enough to be able to afford all the different kinds of therapy we could get to search every option for having a child, but neither of us wanted to go through that and still risk not having a child. But we knew there were alternative options. We eventually went to an adoption agency. Hello? I see you've been on the waiting list for a year now. We're happy to approve you if you'd like to come and have a look. It was all a bit surreal. I felt like we were shopping for a puppy, not children. We were taken around the house, and we met so many different children. Babies, toddlers, kids, teenagers. They were all in desperate need of a home. How were we to decide?
Hello, little man. How are you doing?
She was talking to a boy of about 7 years old. He had black hair and green eyes. He was tucked into the corner with a book. He looked us over warily. We actually don't recommend adopting Liam. He's a troubled child, and we're actually waiting for a psychological evaluation. That's okay. People think I'm crazy. No one has ever loved me. Maybe that's why I'm crazy. The CPS agent winced at this, but I knew my wife and I were melting with pity. This poor child had never stood a chance. We wanted to make his life better, and one look from my wife sealed the boy's fate.
Liam, how would you like to learn about love?
Really? Pinky promise you'll love me?
Pinky promise, Liam. We'll love you forever and ever.
Even when I'm old? Even when you're old, kiddo. No matter what, nothing will get in the way of us loving you. We meant every word. The CPS agent tried to talk us out of it, but we'd made our decisions, and for better or worse, my wife and I were incredibly stubborn. We knew Liam was going to be our son, and nothing was going to get in the way. We went home that afternoon and prepared everything. We made up his room, bought him Lego sets and books, and all the toys a 7-year-old boy could want. We enrolled him in the local elementary school. Within a week, we were a family officially. We brought Liam home and took him straight to his room so he could see all of his gifts. Wow, look at all this stuff. Is it for me? Everything you see is yours, buddy. You must have spent so much money. That means you're invest ed. I learned that word from one of the older kids. They said when an adult is invest ed, they won't send you back. Is that true? You won't send me back?
Liam, do you remember that pinky promise? That still stands, little man. I'll be with you forever and ever, no matter what.
No matter what. We all hugged in the bedroom. Liam was crying, so I picked him up and gave him a strong cuddle. People say that family is about love, not blood. For us, that was true. We learned over time about Liam's past. He'd been fostered before, but none of the placements worked out. Liam didn't work well with his siblings. We were told by the CPS agent that his birth parents had abandoned him when he was a baby, and his older siblings hurt him every day. He had trust issues a mile wide. We thought it would be fine. We didn't plan to have other children, and he was getting along well with his classmates at school. We were the perfect little family. We went on trips to the zoo and played at the beach in the summer. I helped him with his maths homework, and he did chores around the house. Everything was perfect. For years, we treated him like our own, gave him everything: love, safety, a home. Things took a bad turn when the impossible happened.
Ethan, I'm still not feeling well. And look, no matter how much I exercise, I'm getting fat.
We should go to the hospital and see what's wrong. Liam, Amy, and I all went to the hospital. By this point, Liam was 13. He seemed to have moved past any issues he'd had as a small child and was now thriving. He was an A+ student, was on the lacrosse team, and had loads of friends. So when we got the news that Amy was actually pregnant, we didn't think anything of it. We were celebrating. We went out for a nice meal and talked about what our future would be like with a new baby. At the beginning, Liam seemed nervous but excited. He asked if he could help teach the baby to walk, and would he be allowed to paint the baby's room? We said yes to everything.
We're so proud of you, Liam. You're going to be a wonderful big brother, the best in the whole world.
And for a while, it seemed like that would be true. But then, our son, Oliver, was born. And that's when everything changed. Liam became jealous. At first, it was small things: broken toys, tantrums. Liam, we do not throw things, you know that. What on earth has gotten into you? You like the baby more than me.
Don't be silly, sweetie. We love you both equally. You're both our children. That will never change.
Liar. You want Oliver more than me because he's your real child, and I'm not. Liam, listen to me. You've always been our real child. Ever since we saw you, we knew you were our son. Remember our pinky promise? We love you, Liam. Oliver doesn't change that. We aren't making you share space in our hearts. We just made our hearts bigger." For a moment, he seemed to calm down. But then, it got worse. Much worse. In the beginning, we didn't even realize what was happening. Liam was so good at pretending. He smiled nicely and played with his baby brother. So when the crib collapsed with Oliver in it, we assumed it was poor manufacturing. Oliver was fine, just scared. We moved him back into the bassinet in our room until we could get a new crib. Then, Oliver cut his hand open while playing with glass in his playpen. We took him to the doctor, but we couldn't explain where the glass came from. It must have been from when you dropped the glass last week. Remember? Some of it must have flown into the playpen. You'll think we're crazy for it, but we believed it. Why wouldn't we? We didn't have the imagination for the alternative. Never in a million years would we think our son would try to hurt the baby. What we couldn't deny were the lies Liam started to tell us. We were called into school one day by the principal.
Is it true that you've been whipping your children's hands?
Goodness, no. Where did you get that idea?
Liam has some worrying cuts on his hand. When we asked, he didn't say anything, but we overheard him telling his friend that you whipped him as punishment. And oh no, your baby's hand.
Ms. Porter, I assure you we do not hurt our children. I'm not sure what Liam is talking about. It must have been some kind of joke. Liam's hand got hurt because there was something sharp in his playpen. She didn't believe us at first, but we eventually convinced her. But that meant we had to deal with a different problem. Liam.
Liam, honey, why did you tell the school we were hurting you and your little brother?
I didn't. Now, son, don't lie. The school told us they overheard you telling your classmate that we whipped your hands. No, I never told anyone that. I was just playing an imagination game with my friend. Honest, I started to feel uncomfortable, but I couldn't just accuse him of lying. What if he was telling the truth and the teachers had simply misunderstood the situation? The more I thought about it, the more I decided that must have been the case. And I believed it, right up until the poisoning. About a week before Oliver's first birthday, I woke up in the middle of the night racked with shivers and a headache. I could barely breathe. I was so unwell. My chest hurt, my muscles ached, and my whole body was soaked in sweat. I wasn't sure if I was dying or not. I turned over and found Amy in a similar position. She was shivering under a thick duvet and moaning in her sleep. "Amy, you need to wake up." She finally woke up, but her eyes were glassy and her face was flushed with fever.
Ethan, oh God, I feel horrible.
Me too. I think we might be coming down with something. Amy laughed, even though it wasn't a joke. I crawled out of bed and checked on Oliver in his bassinet, and he too looked as though he was sick. I checked his forehead, and he was burning up. When I turned around to go get a wet cloth for my son's forehead, I saw Liam watching us from the crack in the door. The moonlight cast his face in an eerie shadow, but I could see a smirk on his lip. Another cold shiver ran down my back, and I got the feeling that Liam was behind this. "Liam, son, how are you feeling? Mommy, Daddy, and baby Ollie are pretty sick right now. Maybe it was something we ate?" Maybe it was. But I feel fine. Liam went back to bed, smirking the whole time, and I thought I had best put my anxieties to rest. I decided the only way I could convince myself that my son wasn't poisoning us all was if I set up hidden cameras. At first, I didn't think anything would come of it. Amy, Oliver, and I were still so unwell that we couldn't do much, but I made sure we had sandwiches, and Oliver had some pureed food and bottles to keep him going. After the next full day had passed, I reviewed the camera footage and was horrified by what I found. There was Liam, pouring some powder into the jar of jelly, the baby formula, and the milk carton. When he turned around and his full face was on camera, I leapt back. He looked truly evil. Amy and I stopped eating the food, and we bought Oliver's secret baby formula. The whole while, we had to think about what it would mean if we handed Liam over to the police. It was while we were deliberating this that Liam pushed our hand, and we were forced to take drastic action. One morning, we woke up to discover that Oliver was gone. We searched the whole house and discovered Liam was missing too. We called the cops, showed them the footage, and explained that we were worried about Liam's intentions. The police returned with Liam and Oliver not long after. A concerned citizen called us in when they spotted Liam near the edge of the ravine. It looked like he planned to drop the baby over the side. What do you want us to do? Take him away. It was gut-wrenching. The cops dragged Liam out of the house while he screamed about our promise and the way he knew we didn't love him. I tried to promise him that we did, but he wouldn't listen. We loved him with all of our hearts, but he needed to learn a lesson. The police put him through an army boot camp. He railed against the instructors in the beginning, but soon fell into place. When he got out, he told us he hated us and never wanted to see us again. Oliver was 3 by this time, and we still didn't trust Liam around him. He was 17, but we hired a babysitter and got Liam a job that would hopefully knock some sense into him. He started working at the trash factory, separating recyclables. Every day, he would come home smelling like garbage, and the babysitter would make him take a bath before sitting in the other room while she fed Oliver. We also told him that he was removed from our inheritance unless he changed. To reinforce discipline, we took the door off his room and restricted his access to TV and phones until we saw real improvement. Additionally, we enrolled him in therapy to help address his behavior. He was still part of the family, but his actions separated him, and because he could no longer be trusted, we had to have the babysitter there for him as long as he was in the house. I hate working at the trash factory. I don't need a babysitter.
You need a job, Ethan, and yes, you do need a babysitter. She's here to keep you out of trouble since you've proven that you can't do that yourself. Now sit down and do as she says.
By the time Liam turned 18, all the dangerous jealousy was gone. In its place was a calm and hard-working young man who had become a good older brother to his younger sibling. Liam often tells us he plans to join the police force, and we are happy for him, hoping he never returns to his old ways. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
Thankfully, Daniela was too stupid to double-check what the new address was, and she believed me. I figured that we could always call her up last minute and give her the proper address, but at least this way, she couldn't do anything that could jeopardize our chances of being married. It paid off. The night before the wedding, David and I chose to stay at a hotel near to the venue we were actually going to get married at when suddenly David got a phone call. When he answered the phone, his face went white.
Wait a minute. She did what?
David, what's wrong?
It's the police. They are saying that my mother went to the new police station downtown. The one that used to be a nightclub, but was renovated to have offices inside for police officers. Well, she was caught trying to set the building on fire. However, she fled the scene when she finally realized the mistake she had made.
The police wanted to know if we knew where she was. I never expected to fall in love with someone like David. We met at a cafe, the kind of chance encounter you only hear about in movies. I was sitting alone, flipping through a book, when he sat down at the table next to me, his coffee spilling slightly as he fumbled with the chair.
Sorry to disturb you. My name is David. Can I join you?
Oh, why yes, of course. He smiled, and it was over for me right then and there. That warm, easygoing grin, the kind that pulls you in and makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. I smiled back, blushing, and from that moment, we started talking. Hours passed like minutes, and before I knew it, we were exchanging phone numbers. We went on our first date a few days later, and after that, it felt like we couldn't spend enough time together. We laughed at the same jokes, shared the same values, and while I usually overthink things, being with David felt effortless. It felt like everything was falling into place. It wasn't long before I met his family, more specifically, his mother, Daniela. She had been a single mother ever since David's father left her when she was 2 months pregnant, so she never got married. She had loved her only son, David, so much all these years when I met her. And that's when things got complicated. I remember the first time I met her. David had warned me that she could be a bit intense, but nothing could have prepared me for the cold, appraising stare she gave me when I walked into their home. Daniela was a sharp-featured woman, her hair perfectly styled, her clothes immaculate, but her expression was ice.
Mom, this is Jesse.
This creature is Jesse? That's an interesting name.
Thank you, I think.
Where are you from, dear?
I was born in Seattle, but my parents are from South Korea.
I guess that's why they gave you a boy's name. They just didn't know any better. Silly foreigners. Well, dinner's in 10 minutes. I hope you don't expect me to cook any weird South Korean foods.
The evening only got worse. Every attempt I made to connect with her was met with a frosty comment or a dismissive glance. David noticed, of course. He squeezed my hand under the table, offering silent support. But it was clear to both of us that Daniela didn't approve of me. And it didn't take a genius to figure out why. Of course I had encountered racist people before, but I had never imagined having the mother of someone I was dating be so aggressive towards me. As time passed, it became increasingly obvious that Daniela wasn't just indifferent toward me. She downright hated me. David tried to brush it off at first, telling me she was just old-fashioned, but it was more than that. It was the way she avoided looking at me, the way she talked about proper families and tradition whenever I was around, her not-so-subtle digs at my appearance, my culture, everything.
She'll come around. Once she realizes that I really love you and that we are perfect for one another, I'm sure that she will change her mind.
If you say so, but honestly, I don't think she will. She really hates me.
Please, just be patient with her for me. I know deep down that she can be reached.
Things escalated when we told her we were getting married. David and I had been talking about marriage for months. We both knew we were ready. One night, over takeout and a bottle of wine, he got down on one knee and pulled out a ring. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was perfect, because it was us. Simple, genuine, and full of love. We were on cloud 9, until we told her about the wonderful news.
You're getting what?
We're getting married, Mom. This is great news. We really love each other and can't wait to start a family.
You can't be serious. How can you possibly even think to have children with someone like her?
I'm very serious. I love Jessie, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. Honestly, what has gotten into you? What is so wrong with her?
David, you barely know this girl, that's all. You've only been dating for a year.
It doesn't matter how long it's been. I know she's the one. Can you at least pretend to be happy for us?
You think you know, but you don't. Marrying someone like her, someone from such a different background, it's a mistake.
I felt my stomach churn. Someone like her. She couldn't even bring herself to say the words Asian or Korean. I'd had my share of racism growing up, but it hit different when it was coming from the mother of the man you loved. It really hurt that she was being this way, but David standing up to her and sticking up for me did make it easier to handle.
I can't believe you would be this way. I'm so disappointed in you. This isn't up for debate, Mom. We're getting married, and you can either be a part of it, or you can choose not to be.
You're making a terrible mistake.
After that, we decided to ignore her. We didn't let her ruin our happiness and just started planning the wedding. It was so exciting, and we were determined to make it the best day of our lives. However, Daniela wasn't done. She was determined to sabotage it. The first thing she did was accidentally cancel our venue reservation. We had found the perfect place, a beautiful garden just outside the city, and we were thrilled when we booked it. But a week later, we got a call saying the reservation had been canceled. After some investigating, we found out that Daniela had called, pretending to be me, and told them we had changed our minds. David was furious. He confronted her, but Daniela just shrugged it off.
I was doing you a favor. That place was too small for a proper wedding anyway.
We rebooked another venue, and this time we made sure only the two of us had access to the reservation. It paid off since she attempted to do the same thing, but the venue had been warned, and so they didn't allow it to be canceled like the last time. Next, Daniela started spreading rumors about us. She told David's extended family that I was using him for his money, that I was a gold digger who had manipulated my way into his life. Some of them believed her, and we started receiving less than warm responses from people we had once considered close. David's anger only grew.
I don't care what they think. I know the truth, and that's all that matters. But it stings. You would think people know how my mother is and ignore her.
It's okay, David. It doesn't change the fact that we love each other, and plus we can weed out the people that don't know us well enough to come to the wedding. It makes it cheaper for us. I could tell that this was wearing on him. No one wanted their mother to hate their fiancé, and Daniela wasn't letting up. It seemed like every week she found a new way to try to derail our wedding plans, from misplacing important documents to showing up uninvited to meetings with our wedding planner. We tried to ignore her, pushing forward with our plans, but she kept trying to do everything in her power to stop us from getting married. 3 weeks before the big day, I called her up and told her that there was a last-minute address change. It didn't take much to convince her that the hall where we were to be married was being renovated, and we were forced to move to a different address. Thankfully, Daniela was too stupid to double-check what the new address was, and she believed me. I figured that we could always call her up last minute and give her the proper address, but at least this way, she couldn't do anything that could jeopardize our chances of being married. It paid off. The night before the wedding, David and I chose to stay at a hotel near to the venue we were actually going to get married at, when suddenly David got a phone call. When he answered the phone, his face went white.
Wait a minute. She did what?
David, what's wrong?
It's the police. They are saying that my mother went to the new police station downtown. The one that used to be a nightclub, but was renovated to have offices inside for police officers. Well, she was caught trying to set the building on fire. However, she fled the scene when she finally realized the mistake she had made.
The police wanted to know if we knew where she was. We, of course, didn't, but we suspected that we could tempt her to reveal where she was. That was when I told David to call her up and ask if she needed help. Smiling, he did just that. He knew exactly what I was planning.
Hey, Mom. Listen, I don't know why they would be after you, but the police keep asking me where you are. It sounds like they want to blame you for a crime you didn't commit.
Oh my God, David, that's terrible.
Oh, I know. Listen, I need you to meet me at the airport. We'll buy you a ticket to go somewhere tropical until things calm down.
Oh, thank you, David. And what about Jessie?
I'm done with her. The police suspect she was the one that set the fire.
I did my best not to laugh. David was acting so well. As soon as he hung up the phone, the two of us burst out laughing hysterically. We then called the police and told them exactly where to find David's mother. Trying to flee the country would not look good for her, but after what she had attempted to do, we didn't care. She had been a problem to start with, but she had crossed a serious line. It didn't take the police long to find her and arrest her, although she did fight back and even ran through the airport until the police finally tackled her to the ground and even tased her. When I heard that they had been rough with her, it made me smile. It's petty, I know, but she is just such an awful person that it felt nice to see someone get their just desserts like she was. Of course, there had been witnesses. People had seen Daniela attempt to set the building on fire, and gasoline was found in her car. She had tried to burn our wedding down. Literally. David was beside himself with rage. He drove straight to the police station where she was being held. When we got there, the police allowed us to go and see her, and Daniela didn't even try to deny it.
You were making a mistake. I had to stop it. Wait a minute, what are you doing with her? I thought you told me you broken up with her.
You tried to burn down our wedding venue? What the hell is wrong with you?
But I did what I had to do. You'll thank me later.
Thank you? You've done nothing but try to ruin my life since the moment I told you I was marrying Jessie. You've lied, sabotaged, and now you've committed a crime. How can you think this is okay?
You're my son. I know what's best for you, even when you don't. Marrying that woman would have been terrible for you. She's not like us. She isn't good enough for you.
You lousy bigot. It's you that isn't good enough to be in our family. We love each other, and we are going to have beautiful children one day, and you will never hear from us again. I hope that you enjoy your time in prison, each day that you wake up behind bars. I want you to remember that you are there all because you couldn't let your hatred for me go. Have the life you deserve, you awful bitch. And with that, I slapped her as hard as I could, and we left her there shouting for us to help her. Without David's assistance, she was unable to get a decent lawyer, and she was sentenced to over 10 years in prison. As for us, David and I got ready and attended our wedding. It was bittersweet, but at the end of the day, we were so happy that we were married and finally able to truly start our lives together. We have had 2 children in the recent years, and we love them dearly. And we have promised that if Daniela ever gets out of prison, that she will never get to know them. We have officially cut her out of our lives, and it's 100% for the better. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
You will care, because you're going to help him.
I laughed, but before I could shut the door, my mother's voice rang out sharp and desperate.
He's dying, Kate. Unfortunately, he got involved with drugs and got addicted. His heart and lungs are failing.
I hesitated, not because I cared about Damien, but because I was shocked. Damien had become a drug addict? Wow. And why exactly do you think that's my problem?
You really are ungrateful. After everything we did for you.
Did for me? You mean kicking me out? Mocking me for years? Calling my son an imbecile? You mean that? My mother waved her hand dismissively, as if brushing away my words.
Enough of your self-pity, Kate. Damien needs a heart and lungs.
Then get him a donor. Why are you telling me? What does that have to do with me? Do I look like a doctor to you? In case you both forget, you refused to send me to college.
Are you done yapping? Anyway, it has to do with your son, not you. Don't let yourself feel all special.
Let's be honest, Kate. That boy will never be normal. He'll never have a real life. He can't function properly, and he'll always be a burden on you, and he's your brother. You should be willing to make the sacrifice.
Sacrifice? What are you talking about?
We need Noah's heart and lungs. Sacrifice your son for our son, for your brother.
I felt so disgusted immediately. They weren't asking. They were demanding. Growing up in my parents' house was like living in someone else's shadow. And that shadow happened to be Damien's, my elder brother. He was their golden boy, their pride and joy, the son who could do no wrong. I, on the other hand, was just there. If Damien wanted something, he got it. If I needed something, I was being greedy and unwise to see that things weren't rosy. When he failed in school, they blamed the teachers. When I got top grades, they barely even cared. All I would get was a nod or be ignored. The rules bent and broke for him, while I was punished for the smallest mistake. I learned young that I wasn't wanted. By the time I turned 16, my parents started pushing the idea that I should find a husband soon. Not for my own happiness, of course. They just didn't want the burden of raising a daughter. I wasn't an investment to them like Damien was. Their future lawyer, as they'd say. I was just another mouth to feed. It became unbearable when I turned 18. They told me I needed to move out, get married, find a job, do anything that would take me off their hands. They didn't say the same to Damien, of course. He was their future. He had all the time in the world to figure things out, while I was just excess baggage. I didn't argue. I knew there was no point. So I finally left when I was 21. I married the first man who treated me with kindness. Alex. He wasn't rich, but he was good to me. And that was more than I ever had at home. I thought, maybe, for the first time in my life, I could be happy. But my parents never left me alone. They didn't check in on me, didn't care if I was struggling, until they found out I wasn't pregnant right away. That was when they suddenly had something to say. They started calling me regularly, only to ask silly questions.
What's wrong with you? You've been married for a year and still nothing?
Are you barren or something?
They laughed like it was a joke, but I knew the truth behind their words. In their eyes, I was failing at the one thing a woman was supposed to do, which was to provide children. Damien, of course, had already gotten into law school. My parents' shoulders were so high whenever they boasted about it. Meanwhile, I was being mocked, belittled, treated like I was broken because I hadn't had a child yet. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. Every family gathering I managed to attend turned into the same conversation. My mother would sigh and shake her head dramatically whenever someone mentioned babies. My father would pat Alex on the shoulder and tell him it wasn't too late to find a real wife. Damien, smug as ever, would smirk and make some crude joke about how I must not be trying hard enough. I stopped going to family gatherings. Alex told me to ignore them, but how could I? They had spent my entire life making me feel worthless, and now they had found a new reason to do it. Then, one day, everything changed. After 3 years of marriage, I finally got pregnant. Pregnancy was supposed to be a beautiful journey, but for me, it was filled with anxiety. Not because I doubted my ability to be a mother, but because I knew my parents were watching, waiting for any reason to tear me down. When I gave birth to my son, Noah, I felt pure, unconditional love. He was perfect in my eyes, with his tiny fingers wrapping around mine. I promised, right then and there, that I would be everything to him that my parents had never been to me. But life had its own plans. As Noah grew, it became clear that he was different. He was diagnosed with autism when he was 2, and soon after, doctors told us that one of his legs was shorter than the other. He would need therapy, special care, and maybe even surgery in the future. It didn't change how I felt about him. He was my son, my light, my whole world. But when my parents found out, their reaction was exactly what I feared. They called me, laughing at me.
Of course you'd give birth to an imbecile.
It's karma. You were always a disappointment, and now life gave you one in return.
I was shaking with rage. Alex grabbed the phone from me before I could respond and hung up. I blocked their numbers, but that didn't stop them. They used different numbers every time, making sure I never had peace. They'd send me pictures of disabled children with captions like, "You can relate to this now, can't you?" A burden raising a burden. How fitting. I wanted to ignore them, but every new message felt like a fresh wound. Alex told me to stop looking at them, to let it go, but how could I? These were my own parents, the people who were supposed to love me. Then, one day, they took it further. There was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Alex went to check. The moment he opened it, I heard my mother's voice.
Let me in. How dare she block us? You can't ignore us forever, Kate. Come out here.
I felt sick. They had actually come to my home. I saw Alex blocking the doorway.
Leave us alone. We just want to see our grandchild. Personally, I'd like to see how bad his condition is. Haha.
You're so evil. Get out of here. You don't have a grandchild here. My mother tried to push past Alex, but he was way stronger than her.
Aren't you tired and ashamed of insulting my wife and my son? Get off our property before I call the cops.
They glared at us, but for once, they saw they had no power here, so they left. I never expected to see them again, not after Alex had made it clear that they weren't welcome. But one evening, the doorbell rang. I peered through the peephole, expecting another delivery or maybe a neighbor. But it was them. I almost didn't open the door. But something was different this time. They weren't smirking, weren't wearing their usual condescending expressions. Instead, they looked drained and sad. For a brief moment, I thought maybe they were here to apologize. But I should have known better. What do you want?
We need to talk. It's about Damien.
I almost laughed. Of course it was about Damien. Everything in their world revolved around him. I crossed my arms, blocking the entrance. Well, I don't care about Damien. Can you leave now?
You will care, because you're going to help him.
I laughed. But before I could shut the door, my mother's voice rang out sharp and desperate.
He's dying, Kate. Unfortunately, he got involved with drugs and got addicted. His heart and lungs are failing.
I hesitated, not because I cared about Damien, but because I was shocked. Damien had become a drug addict? Wow. And why exactly do you think that's my problem?
You really are ungrateful. After everything we did for you.
Did for me? You mean kicking me out? Mocking me for years? Calling my son an imbecile? You mean that? My mother waved her hand dismissively, as if brushing away my words.
Enough of your self-pity, Kate. Damien needs a heart and lungs.
Then get him a donor. Why are you telling me? What does that have to do with me? Do I look like a doctor to you? In case you both forget, you refused to send me to college.
Are you done yapping? Anyway, it has to do with your son, not you. Don't let yourself feel all special.
Let's be honest, Kate. That boy will never be normal. He'll never have a real life. He can't function properly, and he'll always be a burden on you. Damien, on the other hand, has a future. He's our son, our real child. And he's your brother. You should be willing to make the sacrifice.
Sacrifice? What are you talking about?
We need Noah's heart and lungs. Sacrifice your son for our son, for your brother.
I felt so disgusted immediately. They weren't asking. They were demanding. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. You want me to kill my son? I can't believe you both.
Oh, don't be dramatic. He's not useful to anyone, Kate. Damien is. The boy himself will be happy if you cut his miserable life short.
I wanted to slap them, but instead I slammed the door in their faces. They wouldn't leave me alone. Calls from unknown numbers flooded my phone.
If anything happens to Damien, it's your fault, you selfish witch. His blood will be on your hands.
I laughed at them. They thought I cared? Damien was nothing to me, just like me and my son were nothing to them. 3 months passed. No donor ever came. Damien rotted in his hospital bed until his body gave out and he passed away. My parents buried him in a grand funeral, wailing like they hadn't enabled his destruction. I didn't attend, not even a single condolence text. Then, 2 weeks later, they showed up at my doorstep again. I expected more insults, more blame. Instead, they laughed at me like they'd won something.
You lost, Kate, and you'll always lose.
Damien is gone, but his blood lives on. He got a girl pregnant before he died. Our grandchild is coming, and unlike your little imbecile, this child will be perfect.
They left after that, looking triumphant. But fate had other plans. Damien's child was born a true imbecile, worse than anything they'd mocked my son for. The baby couldn't move, drooled endlessly, and was completely unresponsive. The mother vanished, leaving my parents with the burden. And that was when they came crawling back to me. They stood outside my house, their arrogance shattered. The same people who had spat on my son now begged me to teach them how to care for their blessed grandson. I decided to play along. I pretended to forgive them, luring them in with sweet words and empty smiles. Alex had just landed a high-paying job abroad, one that came with a mansion. Before we left, I convinced my parents to sell their house and invest all their money into a business I owned, without them knowing it was mine. As a result, they became penniless and had no choice but to move into my house. I'll send you money once we settle in. You won't have to worry about a thing. They fell to their knees, thanking me like I was their savior. The next day, Alex, my son, and I boarded a plane and never looked back. By then, I was 3 months pregnant, but I never told them. I changed my number. Unknown to them, Alex had already sold the house. A week after they moved in, the new owners arrived, and my parents started hurling insults at them. The owners left, but later returned with 3 men who beat my parents and threw them onto the streets, their helpless grandson in their arms. Meanwhile, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl abroad. My son's legs were corrected through surgery at 5, allowing him to walk normally. His autism? It was mild. No one even noticed unless we told them. As for my parents, they reached their lowest 3 years later. Broke, starving, and desperate, they tried selling off their disabled grandchild. Fortunately, they were caught, arrested, and sent to jail. The government took their grandchild, but she died months later. When the inmates learned about my parents' crimes, they made their lives a living hell. My parents were nicknamed baby sellers. Inmates forced them to perform humiliating tasks for small favors, like barking like a dog just to get a piece of bread. They were assigned to clean toilets and serve other prisoners. The worst part? The guards saw everything but turned a blind eye. Serves them right. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying, "I subscribed," and we'll do our best to reply to your comment. The moment I stepped into the office, my manager spotted me, his face filled with anger. He marched toward me like a bulldog.
Charlotte, where the hell have you been?
I'm sorry. There was this pregnant woman being robbed, and I helped her. Before I could finish, he slapped me harshly across my face. I stood there, stunned, too shocked to even respond.
You think I care about your excuses?
He slapped me again.
You're late. You think you can just stroll in here whenever you feel like it?
I couldn't say a word. The rest of the office was silent, everyone watching, but no one daring to intervene. This wasn't the first time he had hit someone, but it was the first time it had happened to me.
You're fired. Get your things and get out. I don't need lazy idiots like you ruining my team.
I didn't know what to say. I felt numb. I don't think I'll ever forget that day, the day my life changed in ways I hadn't imagined. It all began on a normal morning, a day I was meant to be at work like any other. My job was nothing special, an average desk job at a company where I reported to an increasingly hostile and unreasonable manager. But even with that, I took pride in my work. I was punctual, never complained, and did my best to meet deadlines, no matter how unfair the demands were. My manager, though, seemed to always have a reason to single me out. It felt like I was his personal punching bag. There was that time I had stayed late to finish a report for him, and when I asked for a slight adjustment in the deadline, he laughed in my face.
You think I'm here to babysit you, Charlotte? If you can't do the job, maybe you should leave. We don't have room for weaklings here.
I remember blinking, not saying a word in my defense. There was no point. He was the kind of man who got off on making others feel small, so I just nodded and stayed an extra 4 hours to finish the work. No overtime, of course. He didn't believe in that. Then there was the time he caught me talking to a colleague during lunch.
This isn't a social club, Charlotte. You come here to work. If you have time to chat, I'll give you something more useful to do.
I wasn't even on the clock then, but again, I didn't bother arguing. He had made life miserable for others who tried. People talked about how he was always finding new ways to withhold bonuses or delay salary payments. Then one faithful day, as I was walking to work, something unexpected happened. I was about to cross the street when I saw a pregnant woman, maybe about 7 months along, walking ahead of me. She was alone, carrying several shopping bags, probably groceries or baby things. At first, it didn't seem like anything was wrong, but then, just as she was about to turn the corner, 2 men approached her. Their faces were covered by hoods, and I saw them eyeing her like predators sizing up their prey. They reached her before I could even shout a warning.
Get away from me!
One of them grabbed her purse and she stumbled back, almost falling over. I couldn't just stand there and watch. I ran over, not thinking about the consequences or the fact that there were 2 of them and only 1 of me. Hey, leave her alone. I barely had time to process what happened next. One of the men turned to me and swung his fist. I dodged the punch. I grabbed the other man's arm as he tried to snatch the woman's purse again, pulling him back with all my strength. There was a brief struggle, but soon, people nearby noticed the commotion, and the robbers panicked. They took off, dropping the purse and some of her bags as they ran. The woman was shaken, holding her stomach as she tried to calm herself.
Thank you so much. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stepped in.
I nodded, out of breath, but relieved she was all right. It's okay. You're safe now. We called the police, and luckily, they arrived within minutes. The robbers were caught not too far from where they had run off, and they were arrested on the spot. The woman thanked me repeatedly as she made sure everything was accounted for.
I owe you. Can I at least have your name? Maybe your number, so I can properly thank you later?
I hesitated for a second, but gave her my contact details anyway. She insisted on knowing where I worked, which I found a little odd, but I told her the name of the company, and even mentioned my department.
I'll make sure to visit and let your boss know how kind you were. Take care.
I was happy I had helped her, but I was also aware that I was going to be late for work. My manager wasn't exactly the forgiving type, but I hoped he would understand once I explained the situation. I was wrong. The moment I stepped into the office, my manager spotted me, his face filled with anger. He marched toward me like a bulldog.
Charlotte, where the hell have you been?
I'm sorry. There was this pregnant woman being robbed, and I helped her. Before I could finish, he slapped me harshly across my face. I stood there, stunned, too shocked to even respond.
You think I care about your excuses?
He slapped me again.
You're late. You think you can just stroll in here whenever you feel like it?
I couldn't say a word. The rest of the office was silent, everyone watching, but no one daring to intervene. This wasn't the first time he had hit someone, but it was the first time it had happened to me.
You're fired. Get your things and get out. I don't need lazy idiots like you ruining my team.
I didn't know what to say. I felt numb. I had just been fired for saving someone's life. As I packed up my desk, I could feel the eyes of my coworkers on me, but none of them said a word. They were afraid, and I couldn't blame them. I left the office that day with a heavy heart. My manager had always been cruel, but this was a new low. I went home, devastated. What was I supposed to do now? How was I supposed to pay my bills? Maybe if I hadn't stopped to help, I wouldn't have lost my job. But no, I shook the thought away. I had done the right thing. 2 days passed, and I was still trying to figure out my next steps when I received a phone call.
Charlotte, it's me, the pregnant woman you helped the other day. Could you meet me at your company today?
I can't. I was fired, and I'm not allowed on the premises anymore.
Come anyway, trust me, just come.
I hesitated but decided to go. When I arrived at the company, I was nervous. What if my manager saw me? Would he have me thrown out? But when I stepped inside, the receptionist greeted me with a smile and directed me to the CEO's office. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I followed her instructions. When I entered the CEO's office, I was surprised to see the pregnant woman sitting there, smiling warmly at me, and beside her, the CEO himself.
This is my husband, and I wanted you to meet him because we found out what happened to you.
She went on to explain how she had inquired about me with the manager after our incident, but the manager had lied, telling them that I had been fired for being irresponsible. But that wasn't the end of the story.
Luckily, one of your co-workers told us the truth. In fact, several of them did. They told us about how your manager has been treating everyone, how he delays payments, withholds bonuses, and mistreats the staff.
We were furious when we found out. That man has been abusing his position for too long, and we're going to deal with him today.
They called a company-wide meeting and gathered all the employees in the main hall. I stood to the side, unsure of what was going to happen next. The manager walked in, his usual proud expression plastered on his face, but that quickly faded when he saw the CEO standing in front of everyone and his pregnant wife beside him.
We've received some disturbing reports about your conduct as a manager. Also, the day you fired Charlotte, she was in fact helping my wife. Your time here is over. What? These are lies. Charlotte was irresponsible. She lied. Oh, shut up. You've been mistreating my staff, underpaying them, and abusing your power. I have seen videos of you even physically abusing them. I should have fired you a long time ago. Now, hand over the keys to the company car.
The manager was shocked, but he had no choice. Under the watchful eyes of the CEO and all the employees, he handed over the keys.
You're no longer a part of this company. Effective immediately, you're terminated. Please, there must be some mistake. I've been loyal to this company for years. I made sacrifices. Enough. Your loyalty was to your own ego, not this company. You took advantage of the people who trusted you, and it ends today. Security.
2 guards appeared at the door.
Wait, Charlotte, you know me. You can tell them, can't you? I wasn't that bad.
I stared at him with anger. There had been so many times I had wished for this moment when he would finally get what he deserved, and now it was happening. I could still feel the sting of his hand on my face, the humiliation of being fired for doing the right thing. No, I didn't owe him anything. You treated us like dirt. And now you're getting what you deserve. Leave our company. The guards immediately grabbed him and dragged him out of the hall and the company. He wasn't allowed to take anything. It was a disgraceful termination.
You all did the right thing. We won't let someone like that hurt others anymore.
From this day forward, things will change around here. We're going to rebuild trust, and we're going to make sure everyone is treated fairly. We've been blind to what was happening, and for that, I apologize. Charlotte, I know you've been through a lot because of that man, and I want to make it right. You've shown incredible integrity and bravery, not just in helping my wife, but in standing up to injustice. That's the kind of leadership we need in this company. We'd like to offer you the position of manager. I think you'll do a far better job than that old fool.
I couldn't believe my ears. Me? A manager? It was shocking. But then I realized something. I had earned this. I had worked hard, endured hardships, and now I had the chance to make things better, not just for myself, but for everyone who had been mistreated by the previous manager. Yes, I'll do it. The employees clapped, some of them coming over to shake my hand, congratulating me on the promotion. It felt unreal. Just days ago, I was fired and humiliated, but now I am the new manager.
There's one more thing we want to do. We've been speaking with some of the employees, and we want to make sure everyone gets the back pay they're owed. We'll also be restructuring the bonus system to ensure fairness.
Everyone couldn't stop thanking them. I stepped into my role as manager, and everyone cooperated with me to make the company a better place. The former manager visited a week later and gave an apology to everyone in the company. Afterward, he called me and the CEO, requesting to be brought back in.
Since I've apologized, I deserve my position back. I can't imagine not working here, and I'm sure Charlotte knows that I'm a better manager.
That was it for the CEO. He got angry and slapped the former manager.
She's the best for the work. You can't compare to her. Now get out of here, and don't ever show your face here, or I'll involve the cops.
He went down on his knees, begging. I immediately called security, who chased him out of the company with dogs. Those who saw him running burst into laughter. It was quite a funny scene. Some even recorded how he ran, fell, got back up, and how his pants tore as he ran. Videos of him fleeing from the dogs were posted online, and kids made fun of him, giving him the nickname, the Dog Runner. That wasn't the last time I heard of him. The next time was 2 years later. He was now working as a receptionist at a hotel where I was having a meeting with some clients. I got to know that his wife and children had left him over domestic abuse. His wife had sued him and left with half his property. He was required to work because he was mandated to take care of his kids. My colleagues and I were leaving the hotel when we heard a loud noise. When we looked, it was my former manager. His boss had just slapped him. When he saw me, he quickly hid his face. I laughed loudly and walked past him. I would have spoken to him, but a man like him doesn't even deserve to hear my voice. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. We'll do our best to reply.